Stay with us. Hello and welcome back to Hollywood Today. I'm here with a very special guest, Steve Fuji. He's been an actor for many years, and he is, in the past couple of years, been a very good casting director. Steve, how are you today?
I'm fine, how are you?
I'm great. So, you're working right now with Barbara Remsen in her casting department, and you guys have been working on the casting of Charlie's Angels 88.
Yeah, there's no
right?
Charlie, it's just called Angels 88.
Angels 88, okay, but that's from the same...
Well, yeah,
right?
but these are women of the 80s. They don't need any man on a speakerphone telling them what to do anymore.
I see.
They're very independent.
I see. So that's been a lot of work. I mean, you guys have interviewed thousands of girls, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, open calls were held nationwide in several cities.
Yes.
And I think we've seen practically every girl in the country.
I'm going to interject a little editorial here about the Asian Americans in the industry. I really think they have come a long, long way. And the film industry kind of mirrors what the American society wants, because whatever we want eventually shows up on screen in one way or another, and we're beginning to see more and more positive roles for the Asian Americans. They're just as American as we are, and we're seeing less and less stereotypical portrayals. Is that your view, Steve?
Well, not exactly. To turn around what you said, first of all, a little bit, it's been my feeling and I found that the media images, television and film, play a great importance on the way that the general society perceives any particular group of people.
Yes.
Especially if people who live in areas where they're not familiar with a certain minority, such as the Asian American people, whatever they see on television or on the screen is what they think is representative of that group of people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very important thing to the community, to the Asian American community in this country, how we're portrayed on screen. There's a great responsibility there, I think. In terms of whether it is more positive now and breaking away from stereotypes, there's been a lot of progress made. Kim Miori's role on St. Elsewhere was really, in my mind, a major breakthrough.
Yes.
To have a woman portrayed as an American person who, by appearance, it's obvious, is of Asian ancestry,
Yes.
but she's portrayed as an American doctor with even a non-specifically ethnic name, which was never, to my knowledge, explained in the show, and I think that's just great. That's the kind of thing we need to see. I worked as an actor for a number of years, and found myself getting really frustrated, though, by being called in for a lot of roles that required speaking with an accent and all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
I myself am a fourth-generation American, and I found myself, on one hand, wanting to see families like mine on screen, just an American family who is of an Asian ancestry, but is an American Southern California suburban family.
Sure.
Never saw that.
Yeah.
And anytime I was called in to audition for these roles playing foreign characters, from an acting point of view, it was interesting to do that, to create that kind of a character. But the fact is, it was creating a character totally foreign to what I am. I did a lot of different kinds of work in terms of advocating more varied and more realistic portrayals of Asians in the media, and that eventually led me to come into the casting field, because I came to the realization that most importantly, it's something that can be achieved in casting, where you have a character who is an American person who has a particular job or whatever, and can be of any ethnic background, and as a casting director, that's one of the things that I try to encourage with the producers that I work with.
Sure. And, you know, you're very creative, and you've had projects in the past. Do you think that sometimes in the future you might be producing a film or a movie that would portray Asians as you would like to see them here in America?
I think the ultimate level of creativity in the entertainment field is to produce, to create your own project.
Yes.
Where you have that kind of control over it, and yeah, that would be nice. I think that a lot of us, you know, are aiming towards that end.
Mm-hmm.
But that isn't enough in itself. I think that creating a consciousness and awareness of the situation, because it isn't that people in this industry are out to pigeonhole us or to put us in a, you know, to portray us unrealistically. It's more a matter of they're not aware. They're not aware of us as an integral part of American society.
Yeah.
And this is true, I think, of all minority ethnic groups, but I think even more so of the Asian Pacifics, who have, to some extent, assimilated into society to the point of not really being visible as a group.
Yeah.
So that where a lot of people may have a neighbor who is of Asian ancestry, they may forget that and not think of them in that way, and still relate to the thought of an Asian person as being this foreign person with an accent and all of that, who runs a laundry or something.
Yeah, I agree.
Not even occurring to them the fact that their attorney or their doctor or something may also be of Asian ancestry. And even in the casting process, casting people and producers and writers are thinking now in terms of using ethnic minorities in these ways. But these are mostly in smaller roles, what's been happening.
Yeah.
And I haven't yet been able to get producers to even consider casting their lead character as an ethnic minority when in fact they hadn't originally had that in mind.
Well, speaking of which, you mentioned Kim earlier. Getty portrayed a vampire, kind of a generic role. He was just a vampire. True, he's Asian, but in Vamp with Grace Jones, wasn't a major role, but it was good. We're starting to see some of that, but I agree with you completely that we need to see much more. The blacks have come a long, long way in the television industry.
I think it's just a matter of time. The participation of blacks in the entertainment industry they've been more visible on a larger level and a greater part of the mainstream. My feeling has been, though, that part of that has to do with the visibility of blacks in the pop music field.
Oh, that's interesting.
And because then they become sort of like role models for young people of American society.
Got it.
There have been a few Hispanics in that kind of position too, not one Asian that I can think of.
Yeah.
And I have in the past actually been involved in the music industry and have advocated that from that end, so I've been working from every angle.
Well, that's great.
And it came from my own personal experience, because I started out actually to be a singer, and I was faced with people coming back with me with, I don't know any Japanese singers. How do Japanese people sing? I don't know. I'm American.
Well, right now there's, I feel a little foolish because I don't remember their name, but there is a Japanese rock band that is really, really going places in Japan, and hopefully they'll come over here. Because I can see a transition clearly. Pardon me?
Anthem?
I think so. I can see a clear transition that if the youth and young adults here really like this group, and I think they're worthy of it.
But you see, they're a Japan group.
Yeah, but
that visually that could make a difference. But in terms of the identity, they're going to be thought of as Japanese rather than American, and there's still going to be a distinction there.
Yeah, there always will
actually, there's another factor involved too for the Asians, and that is that there's been such a large number of immigrants since the Vietnam era.
Yeah.
Throughout the 70s, there was a large wave of immigration, which created a whole new group of people in this country, who were foreign born, and forgetting the fact that, you know, there are a lot of families who have been here for 100 years and have, you know, become completely integrated into part of American society.
Yeah.
The immigrant, you know, is become more visible, and that in the public's mind makes them think also of Asians as being something foreign.
Well, yeah, but what I'm trying to say about the ban is that if any Asian band makes it, it's not going to cure things overnight, but it certainly puts a dent in things, I think.
Well, sure, of course. What it could do is it could open doors for some of the American-born Asian people to have a place in the music industry.
Exactly. And when I used to be in a band, I was trying to organize my own band, in which we would have myself, a black person, an Asian person.
It's funny you should mention that, because I formed a band like that at one time.
Oh, you did? See, that we were going to call it Unity, and so some of our songs were political, but then again, a lot of songs are, and we were by our very presence making a kind of a political statement that there should be unity on Earth. And
but I try not to even think of it as from an approach of making a political statement, but rather just of being there, portraying something realistic.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of the most important things that needs to be achieved in television and in film, is not making a big issue of it, but of rather just creating what society really is and reflecting that.
Sure. Okay. Well, Steve, we're going to have to wrap things up.
Okay.
I'm sorry we didn't have very much time. But you've got a lot to say, and some important issues, too. I'd like to have you on the show again sometime in the future.
Sure, I'd love to.
Okay. Thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you.
You have a good day. All right, that's our show for now. I really appreciate you watching, and please stay tuned. We'll have some more shows in the future. Our future guests will be Bruce Glover, Bob Monroe, and Rick Diamond. I really appreciate you watching. Thank you. Good night.